Welcome to the study. This is Professor Hemlock. Here today, we are breaking down the Venthyr DPS rotation. Now, as we've kind of seen my videos over the last week or so, I have been playing Venthyr. And although it may not be my favorite covenant, it does have some great aspects to it. And one of those aspects is the simplicity and consistency of the feel in the DPS rotation. So if you're someone who's looking for a little bit more simple of an arcane playstyle, Venthyr kind of has that feel. It has really 2 DPS cycles, and those 2 DPS cycles offer a lot more consistent flow of DPS, and it's a little bit easier to predict when you're going to use those DPS cooldowns. Something I want to go into first here is kind of what equipment I'm using. I am using the Harmony Legendary, and I am also using Imperial Ordnance as Venthyr. Now, since we're using Imperial Ordnance, this is a great trinket to have if you're Venthyr. It flows perfectly with the DPS rotation, and that is, not only is it obviously a great trinket because it has Mastery on it, and it gives you a massive intellect bonus, but having it cycle in perfectly with your DPS rotation just makes the trinket feel really good anyways. Great options for Venthyr as well are during the first 4 bosses of the raid. Instead of using Harmony, you of course could use the Time Warp Legendary. It does parse higher to use the Time Warp Legendary most often. I simply do not like the Time Warp Legendary, so I'm using Harmony for this purpose. The DPS rotation will not change, other than, of course, if you have the haste buff, you're going to be able to use more missiles during your Touch of the Magi window when you are affected by the temporal displacement, or, of course, Bloodlust / Time Warp. So I'm going to break down the theory here first. Essentially, your goal on a pre-pull is to have a clearcast stack generated. You can then go into a build phase where your goal is to farm up 3 clearcast procs while your Imperial Ordnance trinket is doing its little damage before it then returns to you after 12 seconds. Upon its return, you will then be able to do a traditional DPS rotation using Mirrors, Touch of the Magi, and AP. So in our pre-pull, if you're someone who's looking to maximize DPS, you're going to be using Arcane Explosion and Conjured Mana Buns. What that's going to look like is Arcane Explosion, eat. Arcane Explosion, eat. Arcane Explosion, eat. Now, typically, you'll need to start doing this around 10 seconds pre-pull. If you get a clear casting proc, you will then be able to hold that until you are able to do your DPS rotation. If you do get the clear cast proc too early, you can simply use it prior to using the actual on-pull rotation, so you at least get some DPS benefit. For the purposes of this video, though, I'm just going to go over the normal opener. So at about 2 seconds pre-pull, this will depend on your Arcane Blast cast speed, which will be based off of your haste levels. Since I have about 2.1 second cast time of Arcane Blast, at about 2 seconds pre-pull, I'm going to cast Arcane Blast into Orb, Blast, On-Use Trinket, Rune. So again, one more time, Blast, Orb, Blast, On-Use Trinket, and then Rune. After that, we are then going to go, well, we'll have 4 charges. Our EO will then be damaging the target, and will be building up until we return. And then once it returns, we will then have our Intellect buff, 3 clear cast procs, and we can go into our DPS rotation with Arcane Power. That DPS rotation with Arcane Power is going to consist of first barraging, Mirrors of Torment, Touch of the Magi, AP, and then spamming missiles until the cast is the Touch of the Magi explosion is about to occur, where then you can barrage into orbing again, and then going into a small conserve phase before another DPS rotation with Rune and Touch of the Magi. Okay. So since this is a training dummy, Venthyr does have a little issues. You can't test the DPS rotation to its fullest because Mirrors of Torment will not proc on target dummies. That's something very important to note here. So we're going to pretend that I have clear casting procs more than I actually do. Okay, so I'm going to go into the DPS rotation, and I'll talk through it again while I'm performing it. So 2 seconds pre-pull, Blast, Orb, Blast, On-Use Trinket, Rune of Power, and now we are farming up our clear cast procs while we wait for the return of our Imperial Ordnance. And it is about to return. I now barrage, mirrors, Touch of the Magi, AP, and we missiles into the dummy as much as we can. It is about to end. We barrage, orb, and now we're blasting up again. We can go ahead and use these clearcast procs. This is going to be a good method to make sure that we are getting our CD reduction as low as we possibly can. During your conserve phase here, you're waiting for around 15 seconds to start building up again. Now that we've hit 15 seconds, we're going to start farming up these clearcast procs again. This is a time where you would also use Mana Gem if you have it. Okay, now that I have my 3 clearcast stacks, I barrage, rune, Touch of the Magi, and now I am burning away my clearcast procs into the dummy. And then I barrage dump again, orb, and then we go back into getting our max charges. Now at this point in the rotation, I blast away all my mana. I can then evocate, return to full mana, and we can kind of see right now I'm at 25 seconds until I'm able to do another AP go. Perfect timing. So we're going to farm up and dump. We're going to try and get our cooldown as low as possible. Perfect timing. Now we blast. We're in again, right here, we're in a build phase. So I'm farming my clearcast procs. Touch of the Magi is about to be ready to use. Mirror Torment, Touch of the Magi, AP, and then, you guessed it, missiles, 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 and barrage, orb, returning back to Arcane Blast. And there we are, right? And that is the basic Venthyr rotation. Of course, you got to remember, Mirrors is going to proc all of your clearcast stacks. So after I did my Touch of the Magi ending and I orbed, I could continue spamming those clearcast procs. You will want to. You will want to use those clearcasting procs instead of going straight into blasting. But for the sake of this demonstration, Mirrors of Torment does not work on a target dummy. So you won't be able to, I didn't have those clearcast procs, right? And that is pretty much the simple Venthyr rotation. And that will be for single target and raid. Now, in Mythic Plus situations where you are, say you're pulling a large pack of mobs and you don't have the time to build up your essentially your clearcast procs, right? So as I know, if a tank's about to pull a big pack of mobs, the mobs are sitting over here, the tank's running up to them. What you'll want to do in this situation is you'll want to pre-cast Mirrors of Torment while the tank is gathering up the pack of mobs. So say the tank is about to start pulling. I know I have my AP go. I Mirrors of Torment a target. I pop my mirror images. And now I'm going to wait for the tank to group them up. As the tank is grouping them up, I can use my orb. I can wait a little bit. Okay, the tank's got them grouped up. I can now barrage, Touch of the Magi, AP. I don't even have AP off CD here, but we'll just, blah, blah, blah. I have AP off CD. And then I go into my DPS rotation, making sure I barrage at the end as well. And then you can go into another cycle of your orb, barrage, or arcane explosion, and then barrage at 4. Wherever the pull is at, you'll then be able to determine that on your own. And that is essentially the only differences that are going to come with Mythic Plus if you do not have any pre-generated clearcasting procs. Of course, there are situations where you can pre-generate clearcasting procs in Mythic Plus. The prime example of this is a Pride. Pride is not only a great, time to build up your clearcasting procs, but it gives you a good gap time to make sure you're going to have your AP, Mirrors, and Touch of the Magi off cooldown. So going into a Pride, of course, you'll always evocate. You can drop your rune for that cycle of DPS on the Pride. You farm up your 3 clearcast procs. then you should be able to go quickly into the next pack or boss, depending on where your pride's being used for, apply mirrors, and hop straight into the Touch of the Magi AP go. And of course, you can also, if you're using the Imperial Ordnance Trinket, you can use that on the Pride boss, giving you that buff when the Pride drops, which will then go straight into the next pack where you've got the mirrors, Touch of the Magi, and AP go. And you just cycle that DPS rotation. So it's very fluid. And that is one of the benefits to Venthyr, is just how simple and fluid that DPS rotation can feel. And that is where I'm going to end the video here today. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, pop them down in the comments below. I'd be very happy to help and answer any questions I can. Otherwise, everyone have a great day.